All right, guys, we are live and we're recording. My name is Dr. Sharnael Wolverton. This is Swiftfire Truth TV, and I'm really excited because we have Rani Curtis here with us all the way from New Zealand, and we also have Craig Walker. He's all the way from England, and I did this strategically on purpose. We've been actually trying to, I say trying, this has been my vision to get us together for quite a while. It's just been a timing thing with different things that have gone on. And here we are finally. So welcome to our show here today. Thank you for being on here with us, guys.
Yes, thank you. I'm honored.
Yeah, so what I had actually envisioned and why I specifically had felt both of the two of you were such an strategic part of this Zoom is Rani, I've known you for a few years now. I actually met you in New Zealand when I was doing some classes over there with Gary Young, and we just kept up. And I know you came to the States here 2 years ago to visit. We did a training over here, and Craig, actually we know a lot of the same people from the past and actually may have met in the past through through different individuals and kind of reconnected on Facebook. That's the power of the internet, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and yet we've all, even when we haven't spoken or had those gaps of time, it's like we have just continued in this truth venture and found ourselves actually diving into similar things and studying similar things, reading similar books. You know, I'll pop on and see like Craig's looking at this and Rani's looking at that. And so we kind of just keep up connected, and we talk a lot privately, but with what's going on in the world specifically now, and also just with this election coming up and the debate too, you know, I've had my feet on the ground in New Zealand a few times, and definitely in England because I lived over there as a kid and actually went to the University of London in college for years later, and have been many, many times even since then. But my point of having y'all on here today specifically is to kind of get a heartbeat pulse of how's boots on the ground where you guys are. What are you seeing? What's happening? Because obviously I have my little, you know, sphere of perception of things that are happening here, but I'd really like for our people, our audience, to kind of see how is it over there where you guys are, and also what is the thought or feeling about this election and how does that affect you guys individually. So I don't know, I choose to know who would like to start, but that's kind of my my discussion and or topic here today.
Feel free, go first if you want.
Yes.
Rani?
Go for it, Craig.
Oh, me? whoever. Do you want me to go first?
Go ahead, Craig.
Yeah, okay, no worries. Yeah, well, I mean, to answer your question, put it out there straight away. I mean, you know, whatever, 100% behind Trump myself personally. Not because I think he's some kind of messiah per se or anything like that, none of that creepy stuff, but I see the mission that he's trying to do, you know, for many years. I mean, my own personal journey, I've been on what I would call a really serious spiritual awakening for about, probably into about the 4th or 5th year now. I mean, I've you know, been in Christian circles, always had a spiritual perception and everything, but in about 2016, things really opened up. And I began to see things, and it was actually quite a dark time as well, because I began to sort of perceive the things that's wrong with the world, and kind of battled with my own sort of demons, so to speak. And I kind of got into a place where I was quite depressed about just, I felt trapped, like there's something wrong with the world. There is something not right. I mean, I've always felt that, if I'm brutally honest, that there's something not quite right. And Christianity was really good at helping you have a vision of a higher vision of more than the 3D world. But still, there was something not right. And as a part of my spiritual awakening, I've come to understand that there is a group of people who are in control of things that have created an illusion, basically. Some call it the matrix, that we call normal life. It's not right. It's not human. It's not good for our souls. And I obviously I went down the rabbit trail of discovering who they were, kind of, dare I say, the Illuminati and all that kind of pretty dark stuff. And quite honestly, there was such a feeling of despair when I was discovering these things. I was like, what the heck are we doing? Lo and behold, along comes, TV reality star, blonde-haired, blue-eyed Donald Trump. Who the heck is this guy? All of a sudden, I'm running for president. What? Why would he do that? And obviously, the media just turned on him straight away. So my ears pricked up because I discovered who really controls the media. And ever since then, he's just been smashing the narrative that's been used to control our minds, basically. And he's just been annihilating it. And I've just been like cheering him on, like, yeah, go Donald Trump, because I could see what he was doing. And it's been a tough but a really, really exciting 4 years. Going deeper, and sort of over lockdown, really seen more than ever, really how sinister this cabal group is and the disgusting things they've been up to. Absolutely disgraceful. And they need taking down. No question about it. We cannot afford to have them be in control any longer. And in my mind, that makes this election for Donald Trump the most important election, certainly of my lifetime, because this cabal is global. That's why it affects us here in the UK. It affects every nation in the world. They are not stuck in a nation. They control everything, bar 85% of the world's resources owned by 1% of the world, and they've been enslaving us in ways that many can't even see yet. And so, to answer your question, yeah, we many people are waking up over here in the UK. Many people are seeing things as they are. I hope she won't mind me saying it, but my wife Emma, when the lockdown started, was like, we better just obey the rules and do as we're told, sort of thing. And she's had some measure of awakening as well. She's like, this is rubbish. What the heck is going on? And many people are seeing it as well. So I'm actually genuinely really encouraged at what's happening, as difficult as it is, and as uncomfortable as it is. There's a lot of positives to be taken from this. So what about you, Rani?
Yes, thank you for sharing that, Craig. That's awesome. I think I, would share a similar journey, like being connected with Dr. Sharnael and just hearing her prophetic dreams really hooked me into a different narrative, because obviously being in New Zealand, we were getting fed one message. And I also started to have dreams about Donald Trump, and I shared about it actually 2 weeks ago, because my recent dream was that I was having lunch with him and we were taking selfies together. So I was like, oh, that means I'm showing the world, my support for him. And it can be a really challenging thing, because people don't understand. They're like, how could you, this kind of person, this persona of who Trump has been portrayed to them through mainstream media, but obviously I don't really consume mainstream media for a few decades. So I did share, and I'll just briefly share again, that the day or the next morning after Trump got elected, I felt such a massive shift in the spirit, and I felt like this massive shifting of power. And I woke early and I went to the beach, and I had just a profound vision of God inviting me to stand in my place of authority in this season, because the powers were shifting, and God was looking for, people who would put their hand up and say, yes, I'll stand for truth, I'll stand for justice and love. And so, that's when I had this profound vision encounter and said, yes, yes, yes. And it was like all in the eyes of my heart, what I was seeing, you know, in my vision center. I said, I need to know if this is for real, like give me a sign. And that's when I sort of splash out in the ocean, and I'm on the beach on my own, and this humpback whale comes and just breaches and shows itself to me. And I was like,
Wow.
I mean, that has never happened in, you know, my life, that I've seen a whale on the beach, just me. So it was a pretty profound sign and confirmation of the power shift going on in the spirit realm, and the confirmation of my role in this. And even just listening to the birds this morning, it's been pitch black out there, but the birds have been singing for like at least half an hour. And I feel like we've been songbirds in this season, when it's been pitch black and people don't know what's going on. And we're just calling for some of these things to help awaken people gently, you know, because the truth of what's coming, a lot of it's disgusting. And like you said, Craig, it's like depressing to know that we've been enslaved by this system, you know, and to be able to know that and still hold space for, you know, heaven on earth and love and light, and to be able to journey that without stepping into like bitterness and anger and rage, you know, even though those things will come up, to be able to journey that and let it move through quickly. I think that's been our role. And when the lockdown happened as well, for me, it was like, my heart was like, this is it. This is what you've been preparing for. This is what you were born for. Like, this is your time to rise and shine. And I really believe that with all my heart, that we've been shown these things in advance so that we can journey people with grace through it, you know?
Yeah, that is so cool. I love your analogy of the birds in the dark too, just because the frequency, the sound, our voice, our words, and you know, I think we've discussed a few times in private groups and our private Zooms, because we've done several with the private stuff, just talking about how dark it is at times. And, you know, like Craig mentioned, and you both mentioned, you know, when we first started discovering some of these things, like I too went through like, just like, oh my God, like what is real? Because I would find out something else wasn't real, and then something else wasn't real, and then something else wasn't real. And then too, just there was memories that were bleeding through of some of the things from when I was a kid and coming up. And oh my God, Craig listened to a couple of those conversations, just trying to talk me off a ledge a few times. But you know, if it wasn't for my husband and my dear friends, like I probably would have just jumped off a cliff or something, because there was a few times that, I mean, and even this week, you know, you sit there, or for me, I can speak for myself, where it's like you think that you have seen the worst, or you heard the worst, or that, you know, that there couldn't be anything else, you know. And then last, you know, beginning of this week, just a whole new set of stuff came, and it was just like, oh my God, here we go with the integration process again. And just like having to just allow that to like transmute and to filter through, and like take what you're seeing with what you're feeling. And, you know, like Rani said, not to get mad and bitter, and like just, you know, I think the thing that I can say more than anything is like this major feeling of just injustice, like this justice part of me is just like, no freaking way, like this is enough, you know. And like really just choosing righteousness for the world and for humanity and for positivity. And like, but part of love is standing up for what's right. And, you know, I don't know if you guys are getting it, but sometimes people are just like, well, don't wish, you know, anything negative on these guys, and it shouldn't be, you know, I hope you aren't wanting them to be punished, and where's your grace and where's your forgiveness? And it's like, where's your love? You know, and I'm like, this is love. This is what love looks like. Love looks like consequences. Love looks like accountability. Love look, you know, if they would take ownership and be like, oh my God, you know, let me fix this. But when you're on the other end and you're seeing children and military and police, and I have so many military connections, and my dad was military, and my son is a ranger, so I guess it's like extra personal, you know. And then most of my best friends are in military and or police, and then of course kids who are just helpless growing up doing their thing, you know. So have you guys gotten well, I got off on a rabbit trail, but what I was going to say is thank God I went through, and you guys went through some things starting, seemed to be that 2015-16 year when I talked to lots and lots of people. Interestingly, something must have happened like spiritually that connected or pushed up the DNA, surfaced some things, because over and over and over and over and over, I hear ended 2015, beginning of 2016, there must have been an overall global aha for some. I'm not saying everybody, but I think 2012 was a biggie. And then that whole end of 15 to beginning of 16 was a biggie. And then now, obviously 2020 vision, this is it here for like a big crew. And those of you who are familiar with Paul Keith Davis, he would always talk about and Bob Jones would talk about the harvester of harvesters. And I see it like that, where we were kind of prepped in order to integrate and to at least get some awareness. Because if I just found out everything now, like Monday, everything, I don't, you know, I'm serious, because I've had to do stages of just like, what, you know, and I'm still like doing stages of what, you know. So are you guys getting anything where it's like any flack or whatever you want to call it, of just like, oh my God, you're not even American, so why do you care? Or why are you liking Trump? Or, you know, hopefully you want anything bad against these people. Like, are you getting anything like that? Or are people just like, yay, go for it, whatever?
I think some people silently in the background are scratching their heads. So when I did my video on Trump, I'm like, disclaimer, I'm going to talk about Trump. I'm going to talk about I like him. If you're going to be triggered by that, go and find something else to watch, because like this is my voice and my page, and share whatever you like on your page. So I kind of diverted any of that if people wanted to attack me for that. And, you know, I share so much else that's just truth and love and light and joy. And so I'm hoping that as I, you know, use my platform to share my, you know, support of Trump, that people realize, you know, I'm pretty level-headed, peaceful, loving human, you know. So at least hopefully it will make people question, but I haven't had anyone like directly hit me up about it.
Well,
what about you, Craig?
I know Craig's had a couple.
Okay.
I don't know how much you want to share, Craig.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my personality is I don't want to say, I mean, everything I do comes from like a passion. I want to see kind of the human race thrive, you know, and I want to see people see for themselves, you know, and I can come across as aggressive, but it is genuinely, I am passionate to see those people free, you know. That's where I'm coming from. I care, you know, I really care about people. I care about the way they're being treated by world governments in ways that they can't even see it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I've had run-ins with people over Donald Trump a lot. And I play in a band as well. I'm a musician. And it's incredibly uncool to support Donald Trump. If you support Donald Trump, you're going to lose a lot of fans, right? And I'm sorry, but that's your problem.
Let me interrupt you. He's not just in some little band. I mean, he's like in a pretty well-known, like has albums, that kind of thing. And you were even interrupted with this COVID thing to tour with some really big name groups. And so when he says he tries to downplay, he plays in a little band. Like it's so, but go ahead, keep going.
Yeah. So, you know, I know that some people are surprised that I'm so vocal about it, because it can sabotage things for you. The way I look at it is like, I have to be real and I have to be authentic. I have to be myself. If you don't like it, that's your problem.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the bigger picture here is, my desire to play music or whatever is a small part of a much bigger picture where there's literally an enslavement being taken down, an enslavement of the entire human race. So it's like, I'm gonna support that, and I'm gonna be vocal about it. And if you don't like it, then it's tough. However, what I do find is you get a lot of respect of people who are privately kind of Trump supporters and for it.
Oh,
There's a lot of people out there. The silent majority is huge. It really is. And I do get private messages of people saying, I support him too, but they don't want to be vocal about it because they don't want the backlash. So I kind of do it for those people as well who don't want that coming back on them, and I just think it's disappointing that you can lose friends over it. And I have lost some friends over it. I've had people delete me or, just not talk to me anymore because of it. And I'm like, well, that shows how shallow the friendship was, and it's sad. But unfortunately, it's the way it is because this is happening whether you like it or not. And people will be shown 2020 vision. People will see what's been going on and they will see it eventually.
Yeah.
Can you share, do you want to share anything about your other community efforts with like the nighttime things and the bars closing and stuff, or is that like going to mess up stuff with your job? And
well, as you well know, I've had people try and sabotage things for me in my job. So I'm not going to say too much about it. It's a tough one because it's balancing kind of your professional life with your views. It is tough. I mean, same with the band as well. You don't want to upset people too much, but when things are as intense as they are now, you can't not choose a side. Basically, it's a very, very difficult time. So yeah, I mean, it's one thing I do is I've been a part of enforcing lockdowns. And to be honest with you, the team I work with and what have you are really, really great. They understand I'm entitled to my views. I'm entitled to think the way I do. And I applaud them for that because I am quite vocal about it. But, I will support my team. You know what I mean? So it's a really tough one to juggle, definitely. Yeah. But there is someone out there who has tried to get my job, get me done at work because of what I have to say.
Wow.
I just saw this morning, some lady was on Good Morning I don't know, some show, because she's in a college fraternity or sorority, I should say. Fraternities are guys. She was in a sorority and she posted something and they are wanting to like kick her out of the sorority and giving her all kinds of problems for the school. And when she tried to ask like, well, why and what's going on and get more information, like they wouldn't even provide what she did. I saw something else yesterday where a kid who's homeschool, and online because of a quarantine situation, he had a backdrop with Trump flag and they told him that he had to take it down or he couldn't be a part of the online class. And it's just like, I don't see that on both sides. I don't, what both people brought up, that the other side, and I'm not a side person, by the way, I'm a person and I'm a policy person. I don't give a crap about Republican or Democrat. This is about humanity and people and who I think is the best person for the job. But, when there's other people who are allowed to promote those things and it happens to be not Donald Trump, then it seemed like totally fine. So there's like a double standard there, and that's kind of aggravating. Going back to what Craig was saying about not just family and then seeing some turnaround, I had to go to a funeral this week, and I honestly don't go out too much on purpose because I don't want to deal with any of the mask stuff or just the crazy stuff out there. But just seeing driving across the country, 9 hours and back, and just seeing, getting a bigger pulse on everywhere besides my little area. And I mean, I do travel to Florida quite often, and Florida didn't have a mandate for masks, but there were places that would have it anyway, even though the governor didn't put it in state. Like there were stores, I won't mention, that would make you do it no matter what the governor did, which I think is really weird. But for the most part, beach, like Rani, we have we do some business right there on the beach, and so we spend a lot of time on the beach, and people aren't masked there. And so I guess in just my areas, there's not a whole lot of that. And then to go out and venture out and see it. I mean, I went to vote today, and I literally felt like I was in some sort of sci-fi movie, because it is the second time I've had to put on a mask, or chosen to go ahead and put on a mask, only because I was absolutely going to vote. And if they weren't going to let me vote without the mask, then I was going to do that. But there's a little part of me that felt like, this is so not true to myself. And there's literally stickers and, the whole 6 feet, away, and everyone's just like masked up and in line. And it felt very like, what world am I in? Like, is this just like, I know a lot of people that this is their everyday because they're in school or they're at work and this is what they see all the time. But just, dropping in every now and then and just seeing, oh my God, it's been since February or March, and it's even worse now to me than it was then. I really do hope people are waking up. And what is it where you guys are? Is everybody kind of doing the same thing, or what are you guys seeing?
Yeah, like where I am, mask wearing is very very low. So like maybe a month ago, it was the first time it became mandatory if you were on public transport to wear a mask. So that was the first and only time in New Zealand that in a certain level of lockdown. And that was mainly in Auckland, the main city. So I haven't had to purchase a mask, or it hasn't been mandatory. It's been the social distancing and the hand sanitizing and contact tracing, which you can write your details or just walk straight past or me. Yeah, so that's been good. When right in the thick of it, when I went to the local growers market that was on, I was just so encouraged because I could count on like my hands how many people were wearing masks. And I think, yeah, up in where we live, out of the big city, a lot of people were like not, keen on the masks. And I went closer to the big city when they had a bit more lockdown stuff going on, and there was this older guy wearing a mask and, pulling it down. And he's like, oh, I find it so hard to breathe with these things on. And I just had so much deep compassion. I was like, take it off, like breathe. How many people have been suffering from having to wear those masks is beyond me. So super grateful we don't have to wear a mask.
And your government isn't enforcing quarantines or lockdowns or anything like, or obviously the mask.
They definitely have been. So if you come in New Zealand, our borders are super tight. If you are coming into New Zealand, you have to quarantine in a facility for 2 weeks. There's no option of doing that on your own. So you've got to pay thousands of dollars to stay in a hotel and to be locked up in there. I think you have to apply if you want to go out for a walk once a day or every other day, and you get half an hour with like a guard to take, like, so that side of things I've been sheltered from it, but it's just like, it's traumatic, the stories that come up, and people who are, have loved ones that they've lost and things like that, and they're just stuck in quarantine or so there's definitely those kind of things have been waking people up and making them question. And yeah, like Craig said, people, you'll share something publicly and people will quietly, privately, want to have a conversation. And I think that's what it's about. That's why we have the courage to share, because at least it's reaching somebody. At least somebody else knows, oh, okay, they know about this stuff, And I wrote a song called Save Our Children, just so many people who were learning about the stuff but don't have the courage to share about it. They could just resonate, and they were just so grateful. Yeah, so people are waking up, but you're like, gosh, what's it going to take for, like, we have to have grace for the ones who are just thinking that our leader is just saving us from this freaky pandemic. There's that side which I just like, oh, I don't see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we can't wake people up who don't want to be woken up, and learning to just let them be.
Yeah.
Just do me.
So I think I saw somewhere that is it only 20% of the population is required for a revolution.
Awesome. We're getting closer.
That's what I'm saying. You know, it doesn't need everybody. In fact, it doesn't even need a majority. You just need a core group who get it, who are passionate about it, and change will happen. And I think that's what they're aiming for, because, you know, over here, Boris Boris Johnson has caused so much confusion with the rules and guidance and all this kind of stuff. Everybody's just like, don't know whether they're coming or going. You know, now they've introduced 3 tiers of severity of lockdown. So tier 1, 2, and 3. Tier 3 being the highest. Where I am, we're in tier 3 at the moment.
Oh.
So it's just, I mean, in Liverpool, there was massive kickoff in Liverpool. If you know people from Liverpool, they don't take things lightly. And they've just basically said, we're not doing it. So the people have been, like gym owners, have just been saying, we're just opening up, what are you going to do? And the police have been in and been fining them. And I shared a thing not that long ago. They'd got up to they was fining £1,000 a time. They got up to £3,000 in the fines. Well, someone done a GoFundMe page that had reached £45,000 to support them. So they're out there, you know, people are supporting it. And as it happens now, it's been turned around that there's now said gyms are allowed to open. And so people are fighting back. They are resisting it, which I think is encouraging, because, you know, all you need is a few figures. You know, one thing I keep saying now is 8 out of 10 people, that's 80% of the people that get this virus are asymptomatic. They don't even know they've got it. That's how deadly it is. I mean, come on, we've shut the world down for this, you know? But then on the flip side of it, I think, well, it's clear that this isn't about a virus. What's going on, this lockdown? And I'm teetering every day between positive and negative, because it's like, some days I'm like, yeah, come on, something underground is going on and all this kind of stuff. And then another day, depending on my mood, I'm just like, oh, you know, just I'm fed up of this. I can't be doing with it anymore. So it's a really, really tough time, but I do choose to believe that this is definitely positive, and it's going to turn out 1,000,000% for humanity's good. I do believe that. Yeah,
it is frustrating too when the numbers have been changed literally, and the tests aren't right, and even the CDC came back and said, oh yeah, actually it wasn't 200,000, it was more like 9,000, which is a big difference. But yeah, when Obama was in, the H1N1 were 60 million versus 9,000. 60 million, not 6 million, 60 million versus 9,000. We didn't shut anything down for that. So I agree, this cannot be anything about a virus that you can't catch, because viruses aren't catchable. You can get germs, but you can't spread a virus, which is interesting terminology anyway, because terminology virus comes from a certain person who knows a lot about viruses, but it has nothing to do with physical human viruses, more like computer viruses. But anyway, that's another story. So you know, both of you guys had mentioned those, like, you know, posts or the different things that you say when you're outspoken, and then on the download you get the private, like, hey, me too, and whatever. What do you think that is, that people just don't just say what they're feeling, and why isn't everyone talking and standing up like these people in Liverpool or wherever? I mean, because if everybody just did, there wouldn't be an issue. It would totally be a non-issue about all of the things, whether it's saving the children, the mask thing, you know, the lockdowns. Why? What do you think that is?
Well, I think there's definitely bullying that goes on when you do see people supporting, you know, the other side, like of mask wearing. I've seen some nasty memes or like, you know, like telling you you're just so selfish if you don't wear a mask. And it's like that kind of messaging is so bullying. It pushes you in a corner and, you know, like, and that's how you control people, right? With bullying, with this kind of heavy messaging that comes through. So I think all throughout history, if you think differently, it's, you know, you get bullied or you get labeled, and obviously conspiracy theorists label as like, you know, what all of us at some point in time would have been labeled. And I suppose that's scary for some people to be labeled, and it does take courage to let go of your reputation, and people are like, well, this is what you're going to think of me, then, you know, just let it be. Yeah. But I think one of the poems I wrote that really connected us was, the words were, I won't look into the darkness unless I have loving eyes to see. I won't gaze into the distance unless I have hope for humanity. And I think that's what we're doing, like revealing truth, but holding space for a better future and a better outcome. And I think, you know, some people may be just learning all this information and getting overwhelmed and that kind of stuff, and they don't know what to share about it, you know, because they're angry or mad. So if we can learn and process and share from a space of, but there's hope, but there's light at the end of the tunnel, I think, you know, that's awesome.
Yeah. I think to add to that as well is, if you're forced to see this, it's not a pandemic by a scientific sense. It forces you to ask the questions, the deep questions.
Yeah.
Well, why is this happening then? And it's like they're being shown, about the illusion and the way that kind of these 1%, whoever secret society people are literally controlling governments to keep you blinded to what they're doing.
Yeah.
And you know, when you present them with facts and figures that this is not real, this is not true, you are being lied to, and here's the proof, it's cognitive dissonance. It's like, no, I have to believe it's true, because the consequence of it not being true is my whole world's going to fall apart.
That's
yeah. And so I think you know, I actually sympathize with those people, but it's not going to stop me telling them. I get it, because my whole world has fallen apart, you know, and I know many people's worlds have fallen apart. They've realized things that they probably would have died for at one point is false. But it's something, I think it's humanity's dark night of the soul that we have to go through to get where we're going, which is very positive. You know, people talk about the Great Awakening and the ascension of humanity. I truly believe this is it. This is the starting point. It's happening, and there's nothing you can do about it. So make your choice, choose wisely, you know?
Yeah, I like that. And that's why I had both of you guys on here, because you're just so eloquent and speak from their heart and have such authenticity with not just who you are, but what you're saying and the way you communicate it. I know that what you're doing in your pocket of where you are is bringing so much light and so much comfort and so much courage to ignite others to actually maybe look into the things that seem scary and get a better look, to get a different perception, have that courage to step out and go, you know what, this is different and it's uncomfortable, but I'm going to look anyway. I'm going to check this out. I mean, even having Jason Q on last night, you know, he was going into flat earth and some other stuff, and it was just like, I'm not a flat earth person. Like, maybe I will be tomorrow, I don't know, but this minute I am a round global, like this is right. But it doesn't mean that I can't be proven wrong and that I won't be upset if I'm wrong. I mean, I don't know where you guys even stand on that, and that's not the point. It's just that I get that, that maybe some people could be nervous about their whole world falling apart, because when I started looking into some of the things, like I said, it was like, what is real? You know, I
Yeah.
start questioning so many things. It's like, what, that too? Please just don't touch that part. Like, let that be real, because it's like I have to have something that was so much a part of my DNA, literally my programming, you know, the whole mockingbird scenario or whatever, that thing. But, you know, even traveling and venturing out this week, you know, I ran into people who were like, oh my God, I've read your book, and, you know, had some great testimonies with multiple people. I mean, my mom and dad were with me, and they were just like, oh, you know, they've read your book too, and they read your book. It was kind of, you know, cool. And also they would say things like, thank you for being a voice and being out there about some of this stuff. And, you know, I can never do that. I can, oh my God, thank God you're doing that, because I could never do that. If I had a nickel for every single time someone had said that to me, or my husband, and saying, your wife, man, she's just like out there. I mean, she will just, she's not afraid. She'll just say whatever. And they mean it like in a compliment. And they're not saying like, oh my God, your wife, I'm so sorry. You know, they're actually like, keep, you know, do it. And I just talked to some people for a company that I consult with, and got some more feedback like that. And I just tell everybody, yeah, you can do it. You absolutely can. You have the same platforms that I do. You have the same mouth. You have the same, you know, heart-ish, you know, whatever, from your perspective and your currency of authenticity of what you're feeling. I really do encourage anyone who's watching and listening. This is a really pivotal time to actually use your voice and to be open to listen and to be aware and to research, but then use your voice to talk to other people and share on Facebook. You will be so shocked to see how many people will come forward and actually go, me too. I believe that that is actually true. Just like the whole freaking Me Too movement, which is not where I want to say, but I'm saying one person comes out, one person gets in trouble, and the whole world is like coming out, you know? And so, you know, I think that this is a huge time for people just to not just 2020 see, but to be God in action and to take, because I'm over the whole, well, we're just going to pray and we're just waiting on God. And, you know, my answer to that is God is in all of your cells. Truth is in all of your cells. Love is in all of your cells.
Yeah.
Every cell and every organ and all your blood is completely in union with Christ consciousness. And you are the opportunity. You are the door. You're not the doormat. You're the door, because Christ is in you, hope of glory. And we have the opportunity to be love in action right now, this day, this moment, and not just this day and this moment, but moment to moment to moment to moment to moment, because each day and each choice and each situation, you're going to have another opportunity. The word is tested, and we are the living word. And so, okay, I just said that. So I do any feedback on that?
For me, I think one of the input you've had into me, Sharnael, is something that's really, really switched the switch on. Is when you say we're not here to fight, we're here to stand.
Yes.
You know, fighting is us and them. You know, we're not here to fight anybody. We're here to stand in the truth and speak it. And people may come against you. I am not against you if you're against me. I'm going to stand stubbornly and speak my truth. And there's nothing you can do about that other than walk away or don't believe it. That's entirely up to you. But there's no us and them. You know, we're all one. We're one species. We're all interconnected together. And this mind control matrix is being broken off now gradually. Getting back to Trump, that's what he's been so brilliant at. You know, this is why, he's such a nasty person. He's not a nasty person. He just comes in and he speaks the truth and he says what he's going to say. And he may be aggressive and he may be a bit off with people about it, but I would be too if I was facing the media who are twisting every word I was saying, you know. But here in the UK, I think Rani said before that she felt something had shifted or broken when after he was elected. And for us in the UK, obviously not for everybody, because not everybody was on board with it, but the Brexit vote, which was not long before, I think it was the same year that Trump was elected, was exactly the same. You know, it was almost like the EU shackles was just broken off overnight. And it's like, you got up there and it's like air was more breathable. It's just like something had shifted.
Yeah.
And I just think, obviously, there were politically, a lot of people weren't into it. They didn't vote for it. They wanted to remain in the European Union. A lot of people didn't vote for Trump, and et cetera, et cetera. But I think we're doing this for them as well. You know, they may not see it like we see it, but ultimately there is a higher consciousness here that is at work, and we are putting ourselves on the line and our reputation with those people. I guess like Christ dying for the ones who were persecuting him, and you know, I'm not comparing myself to Jesus there, by the way, in that respect, but you know, we're doing it for those people as well. You know, there is no us and them. So I just wanted to say that.
Well, how many leaders have gone down in history being the one? I mean, what if they weren't, what if they didn't stand up? What if Rosa Parks wasn't like, no, I'm not going to sit in the back of the bus? Or what if Abraham Lincoln was like, it's cool, you know, I mean, y'all can have slaves, like
Slavery's
whatever.
fine.
Like, yeah, it's fine. What about, I mean, you can go down and name any person. I mean, Tesla, you know, free energy,
Yeah.
all this, you know, he died like, if he's dead, some people say he's in Venezuela. You know, a lot of people.
I've not heard that. I'm going to check that out now.
I know, right? I'm going to check it too. I mean, lots of people left here, transition with standing up and not really getting any kudos for it. Abraham Lincoln wasn't liked. He lost over and over and over again because he wasn't popular. You know, and this is not about being popular. It's about being righteous, standing in the right way. Like righteousness or being right is about being in the right or being righteous. I mean, just doing the right thing, you know, and standing in love and standing in truth. And when we can do that on a personal, internal level, and our own version with each and every bit of integrity that we have and carry in our own circumstances, and being true to our word and following through with our action, and you know, taking every step. The word integration means to be integrated, or to it's the mind body spirit, to be you know, connected and integrated within yourself. And as we do that in truth and authenticity, there is a vibration to that. There's a truth to that. And it goes out into the biofield, and it can be caught. It can ignite others and turn that switch on just by our very presence, without even having to quote argue or say anything. I'm not saying don't say anything, because there's power in words and frequency and putting it out there. But there's also power in just the feeling, like Rani had said, with the perspective of love, coming from the place of love, not coming from argument. Like Craig was saying, we're not arguing, we're just standing. We're standing in truth and in love, and igniting as many people as possible along the way.
Yeah, totally. And we're here for, like, we will resonate with those who are asking questions. We're here to provoke questions in people. And I've always said, like, I don't want to head knowledge argue with anyone. Like, if you're not open-minded or asking questions, then you carry on your way, you know. Like, I cannot serve you in that way. But in this season, I've realized I'm here to serve and empower people, like to be speaking that, like you have to us so beautifully, Sharnael. Like, we are divine sovereign beings, and this season, this awakening and this shaking, and so we remember that we're divine sovereign beings, that you know, we got into this mess, we allowed it to happen, these structures to enslave us, because we let them convince us we're lowly sinners, like useless little worms, you know. And that's how our society became so enslaved. And then they tempted us with money and, you know, all the things that would numb our consciousness and keep us just having enough fun in this realm to stay slaves. But no more. Like, I'm here to empower myself
Mhm.
and others, that we're divine, sovereign beings, that we have power. And I see beautiful people movements, just organic people movements, just springing up
Mhm.
all over the earth. You know, as you said, Craig, like 20% for a revolution, like it's happening. People are collaborating, people are thinking differently together, and the synergy that is just being created is contributing so beautifully on this planet.
Well, Bob Jones said this would be the decade of rest. So
There's time yet.
I'm like, okay, you know, there's been talking to Sarah. We spent the first bit of the year on lockdown, and some people are still on lockdown. I mean, I guess technically being held down. I don't know. Rest, yeah. And I do agree that what you said is given time. I've heard so many people say, well, in the lockdown period, this happened. You know, we're being forced to look within.
Yeah.
Well, okay. And are there people who aren't doing it? Sure, still.
Yeah.
Are there other people who are picking up alcohol and drugs and other things too, because now they're so quiet and inside of themselves, they're seeing, you know, things maybe they didn't want to see, and they're like, okay, I still don't want to see it. So let's escape through video games or Netflix or food or cigarettes or and no judgment at all, believe me. Like, I am the last person to have any judgment about any kind of things that you would escape to. I've done everything, probably not everything, but things that I shouldn't, just because, and throughout my years. But you know, this opportunity for rest, if it takes a little bit of scrapping to get to that decade, because the decade's a long time. That's 10 years, and we're just at the brink of the beginning of the decade. Maybe this is hopefully just the thing that is the launching pad for the true rest, whether it's like a reset, you know, or what have you. But one thing I will say too is going back to the coming from the place of love. And I, like Craig had mentioned, you know, the teeter-totter of like 1 minute I'm like hopeful and excited, and then I'm like, you know, and I choose to be more level and to not take the freaking bait. Because you know, if I post something and someone says like, well, you're this or you're that, and they're name calling or they're ugly or they don't believe me, you know, it's like I can either be upset that they don't understand, or just get reactive, especially if it's someone that I know or that it's a family member, and you're just like, how can you not see? Because I can see so clear, but you know, I have to remember that I am privy to a lot of information that most people aren't, because of my interviews with all these other people. And so I'm seeing files, I'm hearing firsthand information, I'm working with all these people, whistleblowers, and I just have to remind myself that I was there. I probably would have thought I was crazy too. You know, it's just like, you know,
me too.
Yeah, and just have grace to go, you're just where you're at. And not telling them that to their face, not texting it going, I'm sorry you're where you're at, because that's what's that going to do. But just be like, you know, God bless you, and you know, be, you know, truly sending them love and having that heart of grace, because I get it. I get it that this is a lot, and I get that this can totally crash your world if any bit of it is true, because that means you could be wrong. I am in the perspective of, I don't care if I'm wrong. Like, I posted things and someone said, hey, I just literally looked and that picture was already used from like 2017 and it's not current. And someone just posted it and I reposted it. I'm like, oh, I'll take it down. I'll talk to, you know, I'll even make a statement like, hey, I removed that because it was incorrect. I don't care. Like, it's all about being true, but not being baited. Have you guys seen yourself be baited at all? Have you got yourself
reading comments? I think everyone like has that temptation, and then like you have to feel like, oh, it's like some things are just toxic, and you're like,
Mhm.
pull away.
Yeah. Choose your battles. You've got to choose when to comment and when to just move on. A few times I've been caught out and someone said something that's triggered me, and I've had to go back and stuff, and it's just like, no, that's low vibe, move on, sort of thing.
Mhm.
So know when to speak. Sometimes I can feel when I'm talking to someone, they might be confronting me, but I can feel they're taking it. Sometimes it's just like, no, they're not going to take it. Move on. So I'll usually give them a middle finger and walk on. Sorry, but
Yeah.
just being real.
Yeah, and there's been times too where Craig has taken up, like someone says something really weird and Craig will be like, excuse me, and blah 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 blah, and like kind of, and different people too have jumped in and said like, no. I mean, yesterday there was a whole big deal, and I go back and forth on, do I just like block them and like remove the whole thread, because now 80 people are arguing in this thread, versus do you just let people work it out and talk to each other? I guess my line is when you get like ugly on your name calling and stuff like that, but who knows? It could be the thing where people see even more, I guess. How do you guys do that? Like,
Yeah, I obviously try and like set a culture of like when I reply to things on, people's comments, that I make sure I type it from a place of love and not argument. And then, yeah, there's been a couple of times I've deleted a few comments because I feel like they drag someone else's name through the mud, which I don't like. That's not what I choose to have on my page. But yeah, sometimes it's great to let people process it out, and that's how they do it. Like, I personally don't love like processing things out in like comments like that, but yeah, I think sometimes it serves a purpose, but it's like setting the culture on your own page and having boundaries, right? Like, yeah.
what about you, Craig?
I'm just trying to think now. I mean, I'm not afraid of people thrashing it out. I'm not afraid of people thrashing it out with me. In fact, I think it can be healthy. I think it's productive even if it gets a little bit nasty. I think as long as it comes to a conclusion, just have it out. It's like, the gypsy travelers over here, right? Their families can have an argument. Two guys will go and absolutely beat the crap out of each other. Then they've had it. Then they'll shake hands and go for a pint. They've done it. It's dealt with. It's out of the systems then. And I just think sometimes you just have to get it out, have your say, and then carry on, kiss and make up. It's better to stay sort of friends having had an argument than just walking away and then never speaking to them again. That's childish,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm not much of a moderator. I don't have much moderation on my page anymore. I mean, when I was going through my, I went through a spell when I was going through a kind of Christian deconstruction. I had loads of people on thrashing out about hell doctrine and all this sort of stuff, and I just sat back and loved it, But there were times I had to delete threads because it genuinely got really nasty. But yeah, apart from that, I just say, look, just have it out and then kiss and make up, basically.
I love
Well,
it.
we have a debate tonight, and this is going to be an interesting evening. I'm definitely going to be watching. For those of you who have just now been introduced to Rani and Craig, I hope that you will go follow them. They're on Instagram, Facebook. Matter of fact, if you guys can put your links in this thread on my Facebook page or in the group, just so people can follow you and connect with you more. And I am praying for Europe and for Australia and New Zealand, like the whole world. And I know that you guys are too. And I encourage everyone who's watching and listening to continue to pray for what's going on in the world, just as in humanity right now. This is a humanity effort. When I was going several times, I think for about a month, I would just continuously post one nation under God, indivisible, meaning not dividable, with liberty and justice for all. But then I started putting one nation and put a star in front of it, like as in one star nation, as in this world, and I put a little emoji with the world, one world, one,
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah.
we're here for each other. We're in this exact moment. We're
Yeah.
here in this season. Like we were hand selected to be here now in
Yeah.
this exact time. And yeah, I feel a lot better today. Yesterday was you know, with 2 funerals this week, and just that alone, you know, has a lot of things with it. But we are all responsible for our own processing and our own triggering and our own emotions, and the way we manage those emotions and those opportunities to respond instead of react.
Yeah.
You know, if you think of medicine, there's some medicine that gives you a quote reaction. That's not a good thing. Or you can have a good response. And so as we internalize and look in and see what it is that we can do to promote light, love, peace, unity, inspiration, encouragement, you know, I just invite all of you watching to tap into the Christ in you and the love in you, or whatever your version is, and to live out your version of peace and love and prosperity and in your communities, in your home. But start with you first. Look in the mirror. This is not the time to point fingers and go, oh, it's you and you did that. This is time for us to internalize and go, what can I do? What have I been doing that needs to change? What have I been thinking that needs to change? What I've been listening to that needs to change? What can I do with God in action, with God in me, to make a difference? And it may be a really big thing, and then it may be a bunch of little things. But just like Trump is taking on everything, if we could just, in our own energetic places of where we are situational, in our own private version of our lives of standing up, as we stand up, that builds a collective that gives power to all the other people on the planet to actually have more courage and rise up to do the right thing. It's like, if you can imagine a pot, and every time you do something, you throw in a little bit more seasoning, and you just make something, you know, so powerful and so healing, and you just add and add and add and add, and that is what sets the resonance of the Schumann and the earth, and it adds to the collective, and it empowers and it causes everyone to expand even more in their consciousness. As we expand individually, it causes this ripple effect. And so all you guys, check in. We're on YouTube, we're on Twitter, you guys are on Instagram. These guys are all over. They have amazing voices, amazing hearts, amazing authenticity, amazing love, and they're not fighters, but well, maybe Craig a little bit, but but a loving fighter. And I can tell firsthand from being in Florida with Rani, who's not only an amazing surfer, but was in pain from some serious stuff that most people would have just went straight to the hospital and had emergency surgery. I mean, this girl endured some pain, physical pain, and without even screaming, crying, like just sat there in her strength of just holding that. This girl has got some strength. This girl is powerful. So you guys all connect with these people, and I will be on tomorrow with Jason Dean, actually around the same time. And you guys just keep doing your versions wherever you are. Any final things, because we're a little bit over, but anything final before we go?
Just thank you so much. Thank you, firstly, for holding me through that pain in America. I know that sealed us even closer, but just thank you immensely. Like, I am where I am today because of your voice and because you had the courage, and that's why I have a little more courage to share, because you do that, and so it's exponential. So yeah, for everyone else who's wondering whether they should speak or not, do it. If it's in your heart, speak the truth, because it's going to impact others who will then impact others. And it's that like Sharnael said, that pot and that energetic like bubble is getting ready to like lift us to a new level. So please, in alignment with your truth in your heart, speak and share and do it from a place of love.
Yeah. And I just think we need to no more little me. You know, people need to realize as an individual how powerful they really are. You know, just their very resonance has a cosmic effect.
Yes.
You know, when you walk in a room and you're aligned with the truth, you don't even have to say a word. You change atmospheres, you know.
Yes.
Just be yourself, be authentic, be real, speak the truth, and enjoy your life.
Oh, that's good. I want to say amen.
Amen.
Awesome. All right, people. Check out my book, The Science of Miracles, swiftfire.org. Follow YouTube. I have several different great interviews. Where is this? Okay. Crystal cards are here. Those of you looking to change your diet and get off sugar, that's going to change your entire mentality. It's just the way you eat and what you drink and all of that. And we'll be seeing all y'all later. I'll be talking to you guys later. Have a great Friday or Thursday.
Friday for me.
Friday.
Friday for you. All right. Talk soon, guys. Thanks for
All
being
right.
Later.
Love
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.